From AM 1680, this is Business Leaders with Lance Cardoza, the behind-the-scenes story of the business shakers and movers in the Valley and beyond. And now, here's your host, Lance Cardoza.
Good morning, everybody. It is May 21st, and we are getting ready for another edition of Business Leaders Live. Every week, Tuesday morning at 9 a.m., I join you with a different business leader throughout the Valley and abroad. And this business leader I've known for some time. I've done a lot of stuff with Kevin Jordan, and Kevin Jordan with KYJO is here on the show. And Kevin, first tell everybody what is KYJO? A lot of people hear KYJO. They hear you about making big moves out there, the Big Bang Weekend. Everybody hears about that when the summer rolls around. Give us a little overview of what KYJO is.
Well, first I would like to say thank you to Lance for inviting me when I saw you at Bidwise, and it's really appreciated. And so a little bit about KYJO, it stands for Keeping Youth Journeying Onward. And that's what we want to do. Create these opportunities for youth that were underserved and give them that opportunity in life to make it. Because if my dad didn't give me opportunity, I wouldn't be here today. And that's what we're all about in a foster care world. So,
and you had an inspiration that helped you start this organization. And I knew of your story as a football player in yes. Fresno State. You went on to Green Bay. You played Green Bay. You also played some arena football. You had some knee injuries. Take us on that journey of growing up as a kid. You had a couple mentors in your life and help you develop where you are today with KYJO.
Yes, I would say first and foremost, it was my dad that was always being that push for me. You know, being grown up in a not so prevalent environment and having to make it out of that. You know, if it wasn't for him to move us out of, per se, the ghetto, the hood, to see what it's like on the other side when I was about almost nearly 16 years old, I wouldn't have had this idea of creating these opportunities for these youth today. So I wanted to basically give back the same thing how my dad did for me. And that's why it all got started.
Did your father, I believe your father worked in the juvenile court system?
Yeah, my father is a retired youth counselor for the CYA, California Youth Authority.
So you got to experience probably a lot of his daily grind and
his daily grind coming back with stitches in his arm and everything. Yeah. So it's, that was back then when gang banging was very, very prevalent. It was something when he came back and told me stories. I didn't really believe him. I still wanted to be hard-headed and knucklehead and just
everybody, you don't want to listen to Dad. He's making up stories.
Yeah, and so it was one of those things where I managed to understand that life is not just that street corner.
Yeah.
That it's more to it than life if just given that opportunity.
So with KYJO, you're offering those opportunities for youth that maybe didn't have the opportunity like you did with your father, giving that insight of what he was dealing with on a daily basis, and also getting you out of a situation that you could be influenced in a wrong way.
Yeah, I mean, even though that we move, it will still influence us daily.
Oh yeah, that's everywhere. It doesn't matter.
Because that's what you knew. That's how you grew up.
Yeah,
and it's one of those things that you have to become mentally strong to understand that you can do it for yourself as well.
Yeah,
because you can show the way, but you're not going to be there all the time to show and point directions. So if you don't have it in here, in your mind, you'll fall back.
So Kevin Jordan with KYJO, in your position in KYJO, you're the executive director?
Correct.
Okay. And with KYJO, in giving this opportunity to youth, there's probably identification process, maybe through the school system when they see a youth that's troubled in a situation. And it's not always, and I'm sure I'm going out on a limb, it's not always from the hood.
No.
It could be in a situation of they don't have that family unit to direct them.
They don't have active family, or it could be drug abuse.
Yeah.
It could be
from the parents' side.
Yes, from the parents.
Yeah.
And so the kid, he just falls part victim just because of how their parents were. Now, and they needed help and didn't get the help they needed.
Now, I've seen some of the youth that come up through KYJO and how respectable and how they get a job in life. They're so proud, and you are there to honor them and say, hey, you did it.
Right.
You did it.
And they did it. Right.
They did it. And you're right there by their side. And you said it's largely males, but there are a lot of females in the system as well, right?
I started with the girls group home.
Yeah.
And so, yes, I use that term loosely, but it's male and female.
Both.
They all need help.
Yeah.
Especially our female ladies that are C-sec, commercial sexually exploited children. Mm-hmm. that's very big, or human trafficking, basically.
Yeah, big deal.
And it's one of those things that is very prevalent, and it's worldwide. You know, you would be surprised that these kids go for $50 overseas.
So, and I see this time and time again. NFL players, they get out, they end up doing a Columbine, or they try to do a restaurant or a bar or something, and great, more power to them. But you chose to go as a more of a nonprofit public servant role and really be able to do the right thing. It was something that I think it was paying respect back to your father and what hard work he put in, right?
Well, actually, if you go back to my playing days, my dream was to play football.
Yeah.
You know, I was a business management major at Fresno State, but, you know, that wasn't my dream to get my degree. It was to play football. So even though I finished with my degree, you know, with over 3.2, but that wasn't still my passion. My passion was to play football. And once that came tumbling to an end because of injury over the course of years, I was lost to know what to do. And so it was just basically landing a job at the San Mateo Probation Department as a youth counselor as well. And that's where I found my new passion. It was to help at-risk youth make it, because I was one of those youth that knew I needed the right direction to make it. And so my first thing is I wanted to do was help others.
Yeah.
No, if it wasn't about helping others, I couldn't do it. And that's where I am today.
And you find a lot of professionals, even professional athletes, that fall into that professional sports world, and they fall from grace and then turn to become in a situation of their own.
Yeah.
So you found a new passion. And I think all of them, like Alan Autry, a good friend of ours, he had the same struggles and abuse when he got out of the situation, and then found acting. And then found something
yes.
a different
You have
road.
to find something that makes you happy.
Yeah.
What makes you happy? Because if you always do something just for a buck, hey, your passion is going to go away.
Yeah.
What are you going to really do for yourself? You know, you love marketing, Lance. Everything you do, I always see you like, wow, this guy, because you're passionate about it. If you're not passionate about it, it's going to be, you're going to move day to day.
Yeah.
And it's not good for your mental health as well.
And not everybody has growing up. Like you had there was a father figure. There was somebody to coach you along or tell you a story, whether you believed it or not. And I'm going to tell you a quick little story. And I don't know if I told it on the air, but Mom's listening. My mom, you know, she's always, if my hair's too long, she's going to tell you, hey, kid, cut your hair, kid. You look bad. Yeah, so you're Don King, the white version, and your hair's just growing and growing. So Mom's on me all the time, but she's going to call on the end of the show. And I grew up with a mother and father situation, and it wasn't always roses. It was tough, you know, and not having a lot of means, and they hustled. They both worked, and I had to take care of my sisters, and I tormented my sisters. So if they're listening. So and in that situation, one day my dad, behind the house, was doing a deep pit turkey. You know what that is? Where they bury it in the dirt and coals, and they slowly cook it.
Okay.
Yeah, they cook it in coals in the ground. And Dad was doing a deep pit turkey, and it would usually be Mom doing that. You know, if the car broke down, Mom was fixing it. It was cooking a deep pit turkey, but Dad was out there cooking deep pit turkey. And I came over to visit, I believe. I was working in the newspaper business for Pulitzer. And I stopped by, and I was talking to Dad, and he says to me, are you happy what you do? Are you passionate? Do you love what you do? And I thought, sort of. But there's more. There is more. Well, then go get it. If that's what you want to do, then don't do that. Do that. But it doesn't pay, Dad. Well, you'll find a spot. You'll find a spot in there where it pays, because it wouldn't exist if no one paid anybody. So, and he was a truck driver, rodeo clown for many years, and truck driver, and he said, just be happy at what you do. And God rest his soul, passed away of cancer at 52. We lost him young. But that deep pit turkey moment woke me up. I don't know if I shared that with Mom even, and told me, am I happy with this? Do I want to do this forever? I know I can lend more. So it takes sometimes a little bit of belief from someone else in a human. And I think a lot of times these kids get stuck in that situation. They don't hear those words.
Correct.
And they get that at KYJO.
Yes, they do.
So tell me the process real quickly on how KYJO works. So you identify a youth, and then how do they, and give us the acronym one more time. I know it's a
Keeping Youth Journeying Onward.
KYJO.
Journeying Onward.
Onward. And group homes, you have five. There's more now.
We have 4 residential group homes.
4, okay.
Two adolescent kids, 12 through 17, and we have non-minor dependents. If they're still in high school, we can keep them after 18.
Okay.
And so a placement profile comes from the county representative, and we review that and see if they are someone that we can set for the program.
Okay.
But we also have foster youth, where we pair up foster youth with foster families.
Got it.
Basically, that's basically a step down from the traditional residential group home setting, where maybe it's more of a family environment.
So, and then when they get in your roles in the group,
yes,
what is that process? What's the day-to-day for a youth? It's probably challenging for the first time when they're placed in this
teaching
situation.
Structure, something that they never have. They'll complain about it, but they want it. They yearn for it. Just like, look at Alabama. With the greatest structure, you can win championships. You have sometimes most teams with loose structure, they win, but not so often. You know, look at Bill Belichick. Structure. With the less talent.
Eye on the prize.
Correct.
Knowing that you have a goal in front of you and we're going to get it.
Correct.
Yeah. It's a big difference when someone else is there chasing that goal with you.
Right.
Yeah.
And so one of the things that we want to instill is to them to learn all the structure on their own, because we're not going to be there every day.
Yeah.
So when you're out there on your own, are you ready to go? Are you ready for life? Some make it, some don't, unfortunately. They fall back to what's easy. If they don't have their, strengthening, as physical health, you have to strengthen also your mental health. A lot of people kind of shy away from that, don't want to see that, but that is the key to making it in life.
Awesome.
Even for athletes.
It's awesome what you guys do, and you need support all the time in everything you do. I know there's a big weekend, and you're looking for support for everybody to rally behind. And it's the Big Bang Weekend. And
yes.
You've probably seen the billboards around town and all that stuff. What is the Big Bang Weekend all about?
So this will be the 7th annual Big Bang Weekend, building a new generation. And it's one of the weekends we bring back many former athletes, former professional players, former NFL players, former Bulldogs, to come back and giving back at the weekend, highlighted by our free football clinic at Bulldog Stadium for up to 500 youth. And it's one of those things, like I said, it's a passion for it. They're like, why are you doing this for free? Because it's about giving back, showing that these kids, giving this opportunity that they can dream as well. You never know what this one camp can do for a kid in their lifetime.
Yeah.
And something that they probably never do in their life. And I'm glad that we can offer it for free.
Yeah, and you're not targeting them to say, hey, look, go after football for a career, but go out and have a fun weekend with these professional players that maybe they came from a tough situation. They can share that story.
Correct.
And be mentors for this youth, these youth that are with KYJO.
And another time where many players sometimes want to give back, they just don't know how. So give them that avenue to be able to basically to do so.
Wow, incredible stuff. How do people find KYJO, a website, find out details, especially about Big Bang Weekend too?
You can go to KYJO.org, and it'll be a Big Bang Weekend site. We'll tell you everything.
Tell you everything about the
That's
details.
simple.
So you can go to the website and you can find out more information from Ken Jordan. Talk to me about a situation with KYJO, because I think a lot of people are very interested in this because they hear there's good work happening and they're curious about the process with youth. So when youth go into a situation, you do different activities and
Correct.
different, give me an idea of what a week could look like for one structure, but what does it look like for a youth in a group home?
Well, so like I said, it's two different avenues, but in one of our residential youth homes, hey, we have to go to school. If they have programs to do like anger management, drug and alcohol counseling, therapy, we have to get them to see all that. Like we said, Dr. KYJO, see their psychiatrist, see our psychologists as well, because all those mental health services are provided because many don't have those services before they're coming to KYJO.
And you'll connect the dots and get everybody together.
That's our job, to make sure we can connect the dots. And we have to do this 6 months or sooner. And sometimes that's not always enough time to help convert a youth. Before we could keep a youth a little longer than that, but right now with the reform and everything coming down from the state, they're saying we give 6 months. If anything longer than that, we'll have to get special permission.
Don't go away. More Business Leaders Live. I'm here with Kevin Jordan with KYJO. We're going to talk about Big Bang Weekend. Also, I want to talk about your playing in the NFL.
All right,
some
let's
fun
do it.
stories there. We'll be right back right here on Business Leaders Live.
Yeah, so we send it up.
Yeah. Yeah. As soon as you extend them, still give me a go home. Because then I can build to it, and then he knows to.
Oh, you talking about when it stopped at 3 minutes? You really didn't know. Yeah.
Because I'm sitting there and like la la.
That's right. So
Because then it sounds disconnected. It's better if we just then you know where your rap is.
We'll just put it in 14.
Yeah. We'll do another 14, and then like I said, my mom's gonna call in right at the end. The end of his segment after it's over and we come back.
So the third segment.
Yeah.
Right.
Then she'll come in the third. Yeah.
Are you doing like speeches about mental health?
Oh yes, that's for I'm more so, especially with athletes. Remember how I was talking with
Facebook.
Hey, that's important because a lot of athletes are, like how you said, go through these same things, but what help or support do they have? And sometimes they'll fall in that dark place, can't come up because they don't think they can talk to anybody. And I want to basically give that avenue where, hey, you can talk, you're not alone. I faced depression, clinical depression for over 10 years. It's one of those things I had to become fearless and face those adversities because they're not going anywhere. And once I started being able to talk about it, I started my healing process. Once that happens, it was like, wow, I'm better. Just like how Dave can talk about his now. Before he couldn't do that.
Right.
You know what I mean?
It's a tough,
it's tough. Yeah, and it's like one of those things that, well, it makes you seem weak, but no, it actually makes you strong.
Yeah, it makes you strong.
It makes you strong because the many that don't do it, they're scared to do it. So once you conquer that and become, like I said, fearless, you're ready to go. And that's what that shirt is all, because I started asking athletes.
I don't know if you're doing speaking engagements about that.
I did one, and then they asked me to come back. And the one thing that I wasn't ready for was that it hit home with a few people, and I didn't have services ready for them to go. I was like, you know what I mean? So,
we'll come up.
Yeah, I don't know if that's.
Yeah, we can talk about that.
Okay.
I mean, that's also transition.
Yeah, and that's
too,
right, and because everybody goes through, and that's why
we'll
the
talk
camp.
about NFL, and then I'll bring in this.
Okay, because there's no mental health in the NFL.
Yeah. There's no mental health in general. It's getting better.
It's getting better.
It's coming back again. But for a long time, it was vacant.
Huh.
There was nothing there for.
I know.
Yeah. Yeah. Thank you for joining us on Facebook. We'll try to get to your questions, and Kevin will also share it out there on Facebook. You'll share it later and answer any questions anybody has.
You are listening to Business Leaders with Lance Cardoza, the behind-the-scenes story of the business shakers and movers in the Valley and beyond. Once again, here's Lance Cardoza.
Welcome back, everybody. I'm here with Kevin Jordan with KYJO, and Kevin, the executive director of KYJO, and this is how many years have you been doing the group homes for youth, Kevin? Oh, I'll put you on the spot.
No,
more than a decade now.
Yes, 11 and a half years.
11 and a half years. So anybody that knows Kevin Jordan's story, he came from Fresno State. You played football, Fresno State. You went on to the NFL. You played some arena football, Sabre Cats out of San Jose, right?
Correct.
Yeah.
Yep.
So you've been out there as an athlete, had some knee injuries, but I'm sure you have some fun, incredible stories of that first time you walked on the NFL field and what that did for you inside. It probably...
it was like a dream come true. Just even going to the locker room, getting ready for the guys. My story is that I got injured the first day of minicamp at Green Bay. First practice.
You and Autry share similar stories because his debut at Green Bay wasn't too pretty. He had a rough go.
Right. Yeah. So it was one of those things that, my mind became just dark and didn't know what to do. And so it wasn't until Coach Sherman came and said they were going to keep me on for the season and put me on injury reserve that, I got my spirits back. And it was like, wow, I wonder do other players feel this way if this is their dream come true, just tumble to them. It's something they can't control.
One thing we were talking about during the commercial break, and if you joined us right here on Talk Radio 1680 KGED on the Facebook Live, you get to see the behind the scenes during the commercial break. And we were talking about David Suarez, producer, came in, and David was talking to me about, or talking to Kevin about mental health and speaking on mental health. And you've done some speaking engagements about being fearless.
Yes.
And a lot of times athletes, and like you say with NFL and professional sports, there's sometimes no services for mental health, what mental anguish they're going through. And if you got an injury, this could be career ending. What is that player going through mentally? And there's nothing there for them at times.
I mean, you don't know where to turn sometimes. You don't think that the place that is paying you really care about your mental health. So sometimes you turn to your own ways of dealing with it, which sometimes it's self-medicating, where you turn to drugs just to cope with it.
Alcohol, and everything you can think
so
of.
Many of those stories you guys hear about an athlete is doing this and doing that, it's because their head isn't right.
Yeah. So
how do we get support for these athletes that need that support? And, in the NFL, I'm just going to put it out there. Now that I'm, doing KYJO, I do many of psychological assessment testing myself now.
Yeah.
You do those testing when you go into the NFL at the combine, but you never see the results. So they know what they're getting.
Yeah.
They know what they're getting and know who needs what, and that's why I'm so happy that many players are starting to speak up about their mental health, knowing that it is real, it is prevalent. Depression, anxiety, OCD, that's all mental health.
Yeah. A lot of those big corporations, and maybe correct me if I'm wrong, but NFL, NBA, Major League Baseball, they probably have services for athletes, but a lot of the big issues is the athlete being
scared.
fearless. They're scared. Being fearless to say, I need some help.
Correct.
And that's the biggest hurdle to get over. And sometimes it's their best friend. And even with a drug addicted person, the best friend is usually the one that's the person that's going to save their life, or they're going to go down that rabbit hole and get worse. So it's first them acknowledging I need help.
Right.
And sometimes the best friend won't speak up.
Right.
To rat out their friend's situation. But a lot of times we need to speak up and we need to get them help before it gets worse.
Right. And I'll just use me as an example. One time when I was going through my depression state, my worst stint about 2014, I had some frat brothers ask me to come join them for lunch. Well, come to find out, it was basically an intervention to ask if I'm okay, because they were concerned about me.
They were worried about you.
Right. I didn't notice I was bad, and it was like, for them just showing that support, that kind of springboarded me. Kevin, we got to keep going. We got to get out of this.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Because, I disappeared off the map for about 2014, 2015 or so, because I felt all alone.
Yeah.
It was one of those things, once I started telling my story to everyone, even though they didn't want to listen, I just wanted to get out because that was my healing process.
Yeah.
And then this year, just going since January, just asking different players, how do they feel for various reasons, just like that. It was that one important friend that prevented them from going over the edge.
Yeah.
And they wanted, it's always in the back of people's minds to talk about, but they don't, in fear of, I'm going to feel weak. No, you are strong if you can talk about this, because you are not alone. And sometimes we have to talk about this as men, especially athletes are in different cultures, because without it, hey, you might stay alone and then you won't get the greatest service you need for your healing.
Absolutely. And I think a lot of guys, it's that macho tough thing that they're afraid to admit that there may be a situation.
Yeah, that means you're living in fear.
You're living in fear.
And that's why with the shirt, it's all about being fearless. Sometimes, yes, it's okay to feel fear, but we still have to face those fears.
And again, if you're listening to us right here on AM 1680, you can go to Facebook Live at Talk Radio 1680 KGED. Kevin's talking about a shirt he's wearing. It says fearless on it. It has anxiety, sleep apnea. It's got all sorts of different bipolar, PTSD. There's so many different issues that can be dealt with, and there's help for you.
It is help.
And that's what I'd like to, I would hope, and I don't know, but NFL and some of the professional organizations, they probably don't identify it and talk to the players about it. I'm sure there's services there, but they're depending on them to say something, and you know how that goes. Again,
Right.
Their fellow player might know about it, but if they don't create an intervention situation, and they don't want their player to cut out of the game, so that they tend to not do it, so it's tough.
They're not going to talk about it. Just think if you hire on a player that has a major psychosis, split personalities.
Oh, and I bet there was a lot of those.
It has been a lot.
Yeah.
They were not safe to play.
They weren't.
But they put them out there anyway.
Yeah.
So just like the concussions, they didn't want that put out.
Yeah.
So this is just the tip of the iceberg. The NBA does it, is out there with mental health awareness a little bit more than the NFL, but we have to even do something with our NCAA.
Yeah.
You know, Alabama has a big mental health clinic, but that's like the only one. And this is from the words of Coach Hill. You know, he knows everything.
Yeah.
But nothing for the NFL.
Nothing for NFL.
Nothing.
So yeah, and I think I can see where this could be in I think post athlete situations, especially. Yeah.
I mean, just think about, you know, one of the things I also did at KYJO was because of my injury. I'm like, well, I didn't want a player to end up like me. Since 2012, I offered summer jobs to the players at Fresno State, football players, to come work meaningful jobs as youth counselors with the kids, just so you can see what the workforce is like. So if you did have an injury, you have something to fall back on.
Yeah.
Well, we started with 13. Fast forward to, you know, more new generational things where things supposed to be handed to them, I guess. I have one or two guys. You know, Jameer Jordan worked last year, but a lot of these guys that they just think they're going to make it to the NFL, and all of a sudden it doesn't happen. Now what are you going to do? They are in a tank in a dark place and don't know how to get out.
Don't know where to turn.
Don't know where to turn. What's next in life?
And that ends up when they have too much time on their hands and they're trying to figure out. They lead to it could be bad stuff. Self-medication in so many different situations. So let's go back to Big Bang Weekend. So because of your love of football and being in that and giving the youth a little weekend of fun, NFL players that'll come back, some Fresno State players too.
Yeah, many Fresno State players.
Yeah,
good mix. And it also, we have an opportunity for families to meet these same players. We're having a pregame at Dave & Buster's July 12th as well, from 6 to 10.
How does the community, the general community, a lot of business people listen to my show too, how do they get involved to help youth? And maybe you need volunteers that day.
Yes.
How does that work?
So, again, just visit KYJO.org and you can volunteer. You can partner with us. You can get involved and register for your kids. We make it very simple this year.
So you say register for your kids. So it's open to the public.
Yes,
anybody
open to the
can
public.
Be a part of this. Yeah.
Yes. To register for the camp itself, you have to be 4th through 8th grade.
Okay.
And boy or girl, it doesn't matter. But you have to be 4th through 8th grade. But for any other thing, it's open to the public.
Awesome. Beautiful stuff. So and it just gives them a fun weekend. Is it a 2-day event?
2-day event.
Two-day event. And they'll go on to the Fresno State field, I believe.
Yes,
Is that what you've
on
done
the
in the
field.
past?
It's going to be the new turf.
The new turf.
We're going to break it in.
So you come down you'll be probably one of the first things out on the new turf.
They'll be coming
right?
down the ramp just like Fresno State football players, just like you see on TV. Hey, for some, it'll be a dream come true.
Awesome. It'll be, and a lot of times too, a lot of youth probably don't even know how exciting that and energizing that is when you come down that ramp into Bulldog Stadium.
Right. And you got to think, some never played football. Like now it's your opportunity to see what it's like to get the best tutelage from these same players that played in this actual stadium. When
you played for Fresno State, and a lot of players talk about that ramp when they're coming into the that probably is something that stuck with you for many years.
It did stick with me because I failed a couple times.
Oh no. Yeah, because you guys would come barreling out of there sometimes.
Right. Well, they've changed. They put some type of padding down now where your cleats wouldn't slip from underneath you. But before it was all concrete.
Oh no.
When I'm 96 to 2000, we had to held each other up because
you would just slide out from
underneath you. So those were the funny moments. But it was just that coming down as a team. It's nothing like it.
Listeners probably want to hear a funny moment from NFL when you played for NFL or in the sport of football, and or maybe it was somebody that was a mentor of yours that you got to see and be a part of. Do you have a story that you could share during your time that you were with NFL? It's probably many, and you're probably thinking on radio, can I share this story?
Right. I could just tell you a story. I was 315 pounds, and I kid you not, now I'm about 250, but to keep that weight, I had to eat 5 meals a sitting.
Yeah, put down some food.
Oh yeah, and so when you get your paycheck, your check for your bill for your food, your dinner or lunch, over $100 for one person. It's like, is this really what I need to do?
Yeah.
I could have fed a whole family.
You could have fed a whole family.
This is just ridiculous.
Oh my gosh! And so you'd have to put down that much food.
Oh
to
yeah,
keep that
it was
weight?
it was
A lot
one
of
of the things.
protein.
Yeah, and just being in Green Bay, it was one of the things that was funny because even when being big and black in Green Bay, it's like, oh, he must play for the Packers. So when you go into the urinal and someone really does that, I'm like, this is very odd.
How do, so with your time there and then now doing KYJO, how does somebody, we know how they get involved for the Big Bang Weekend, but how does a family get involved with KYJO as like a foster parent and is able to, because I'm sure you struggle finding good foster parents.
we are always looking for caring families, always. Okay. And that's one of the things that we are always on a hiatus where we can't accept any kids on our foster care side because we don't have enough families to put the kids in. It's going to be plenty of kids all the time.
Yeah.
It's just getting those valuable families that really care and give a damn that we can bring in with them.
So you're always looking, they can go to your website to find out more information.
And it'll tell you if you go through our website, it'll also give you a checklist of what you need and what it means to be a foster parent as well.
And KYJO, by getting a hold of you through KYJO.org, you can help walk that family through the details and through the county system.
Requirements.
And
sure
the
can.
requirements to get all that taken care of.
Yes, you can.
It's amazing stuff that you've done, because it could have been, you could have turned to, and you did, you struggled with it like everybody else, and lucky your friends were there to pick you up and say, hey, we're here for you, man. And I think you did, you went and you did some good stuff for your community, and you're continuing to do it, and you stay focused on that. Stay focused on it and keep, and it goes with any business. From a nonprofit to a business, you feel like you're in the trenches and you're all by yourself all the time, and nobody cares sometimes. No, and they're not going to care, unless you tell them about it and you get out there and you believe it and you feel energized about it. And I love what you're doing with the players also too, to get them involved now. So when they do go to professional sports, or let's say they don't make it to that prize that they wanted, there's a place for them to be able to still work in the business alongside a guy that fell in the same thing that they maybe struggled with. And I'm right here for you, man. I know how it is.
Hey, I know how it is.
Yeah.
That's why a couple guys are still there supporting right now, like Isaiah Green. He's one of those that he's going to be a great motivational speaker in the near future. But even him just finding himself right now to where he wants to go and build those more stories for his speaking gig, it's amazing just to see his growth.
So you go and speak to a lot of youth all the time, correct? And talking to youth about it. And do you find a lot of times when you're speaking to a room, do you see to where the best friend of the person that maybe has the issue that needs some help, they'll tend to come up to you and talk to you about the situation? How does that usually happen? Are they asking for help?
It's usually the person that's going through it comes talk to me privately.
Privately, yeah.
Hey, what you said helped me.
Yeah.
Or I'll hear
I'm
later
thinking
on,
about it, yeah.
Or I'll hear years later, hey, what you said to me when I was a kid, it helped me. I had no clue.
Yeah,
I had no clue. And so one of the things that I always started to do now, because when you use the term mental health, a lot of people just all crazy. That's why another reason why I made the shirt with all different types of mental illnesses, because people can relate to that ADHD, OCD, PTSD, depression.
Yeah.
Hey, this is all part of strengthening your mental health. So when these things do come, you'll be ready for it.
And for the first time in a long time, these are, and like I say on that shirt, if you go to our Facebook Live at Talk Radio 1680 KGED, you'll be able to see some of their words that are talked about today. And maybe 10 years ago, 15, you would not bring up these words, and it's being talked about, and it is okay. And I think impacts, you look at celebrities too that struggle with it, with addiction, from Amy Winehouse's to Robin Williams, which was
look at
such
Robert Downey Jr.
And turned it around.
Right,
in a big way.
So understand.
And probably struggles.
Right, and still struggling. Hey, it is always it's always something you're going to deal with. It's just basically like how we do strengthen our physical fitness. We have to strengthen our mental health, so we're prepared for it. And you have a nice inner circle that supports you and tell you about yourself when you are going through it.
Yeah, then you get that inner circle is very, very important.
Very important, your support system.
And being right there for you. Tell people how they can get involved, Kevin, with Big Bang Weekend again, one more time.
Again, very simple. Please visit KYJO.org, and you can get involved with Big Bang Weekend right there for you.
Also, how do they get on your social media to follow your journey? I think it's at Kevin Jordan 06.
Kevin Jordan 06, Facebook or Kevin's Jordan 06 on Instagram, and you'll join the journey. And we'd like to first say thank you to Howie Electric and also Tule River Tribe for being our MVP partners for this year's Big Bang Weekend.
Thank you for being on the program.
You,
and don't go away. I have my mom calling in. She's going to be on the show next. We're going to talk about her retirement and also growing up in a family where I had that inner circle to talk to you when you weren't doing something right. They were right there. Thank you, Kevin, for joining me. Don't go away. We'll be right back. Yeah, let's get a photo.
We'll go first and then I'll go second real quick.
All right. Oh, yeah, go slow. That chair will get you, too. It's about bumping me off all the time.
Yeah.
Oh, hi. How you doing? We've been expecting your phone calls. Hang tight.
Okay, good.
All right, Nancy Vaughn is on the line. And she's on hold.
All right.
And when you're ready to go to her, I'll punch her in.
Perfect. I'm going to talk about the mayor's race.
What was that?
I'm going to talk about the
Let's
mayor's
go.
race for a little
We're
bit.
good.
And then you'll hear me bring her in.
Thank you, brother.
Awesome.
Appreciate it.
Thank you. Awesome.
It's only the start. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Keep
only the
hustling.
start.
And, and
Over
the big thing is, too,
I hope the NFL doesn't snipe me because I wasn't supposed to say that.
well, I think the big thing is, too, they need to think
They need to
about
talk
it.
about it.
Yeah, they need to talk
It's
about
out
it.
there now.
And if they have, hey, thank you. It's nice seeing you again.
Let me just double check and make sure that your phone line. Okay, your telos is on. Good.
Oh, Tello's right here?
Yeah.
Okay,
so
cool.
when you patch your phone through, it'll be great.
Okay, how's camera? What do I do now? You want to change it up? Thank you, guys. You got to see all the chaos in between on the commercial. This is what it's like.
Right.
This is Woody over here. You hear the voice. He's moving the backdrop
It's a
here.
big party.
There he is. We're going to talk about the mayor's race here in Fresno. I haven't followed too closely, but I'm friends with a lot of the people that are running and acquaintances, and I know them through business and everything that is going on right now in our political world in Fresno, in the city of Fresno. How much time do we have to the end of the show? We gotta. I would say let me do explain to my mom real quick that I'm probably going to talk about the mayor's race at first, and then I'll bring her in towards the tail end. Just thinking about it. Maybe give me one segment, and then I'll come back with her. Should I, or what do you think?
You could do that too. Yeah. You could
Or
do
just run it straight through and bring her when I want to bring her in.
I would say split it.
Okay.
Everyone.
You tell me how you want to do
their
it.
time and you can do the president's race.
Okay. And you can change it up on me. I'll see it.
So how long do you, so we're looking at 8.
Yeah, and I'll just chat it up. Okay. And I would say, hey, David, make it one big segment. Yeah.
You are listening to Business Leaders with Lance Cardoza, the behind-the-scenes story of the business shakers and movers in the Valley and beyond. Once again, here's Lance Cardoza.
Welcome back, everybody. You're listening to the Big Talk Radio 1680 KGED. If you're not on our social media, make sure you go to @Talk Radio 1680 KGED. We do Business Leaders Live every Tuesday morning, and we're live right here in studio, and you're able to watch the show with my guests. Kevin Jordan, I'd like to thank Kevin Jordan, was just on the program talking about KYJO and their Big Bang Weekend. Make sure you go to KYJO, that's KJIO, I believe, right, David? .org. And you'll be able to go there and find out information about their Big Bang Weekend. And it's not just for the youth that is in the system that KYJO is helping, but it's, Kevin was saying, it's open to the public. So if you're looking for something fun this summer, for your kids to go out and be a part of, I believe you have to be from 4th to 8th grade, and you can find out all those details at KYJO.org, and then you can be a part of that fun weekend, Big Bang Weekend. Some NFL players, Fresno State players. It's a lot of fun, and I think boys and girls alike, they go out and they just, I think they'll do something that they probably never would get a chance to do, is to be on that field like Kevin was, and and others that have played professionally there at the Bulldog Stadium. Funny story coming down that ramp, and Kevin's talking about sliding on that ramp and everybody going down. I've seen that happen several times. Sometimes the players get wound up and they come flying down that ramp at Bulldog Stadium, and it's a dog pile, literally a dog pile at the end of the ramp, but a lot of fun. Let's talk about a dog pile that's going on right now in the city of Fresno, but right here in and I usually don't promote like this, but Fresno B, it has a front page. Mayor's race opens up. And there was a statement that was released from our current mayor of the city of Fresno, and Lee Brand. And Lee's a great guy. He really is. And Lee's really focused on business, and he came in, and I know it was a tough go in the beginning, but I think Lee has felt it is a job. It's a toll on somebody. It is a job. I think he mentions that 2 tons off my back just by announcing that he will not run in the next mayor's race. He's going to go with 1 term and stay focused on what he has set off to do and his journey as being mayor of Fresno. And Lee Brand, I will say, was very instrumental in repairing the relationship with the Fresno Grizzlies in the city and making sure that we could find new owners with the Grizzlies. And a lot of people know I work closely with the Grizzlies. So Mayor Brand was tough. Mayor Brand held the new ownership to the line, and Mayor Brand made sure that he was going to be an instrumental part in making sure that we got the right owners in our city of Fresno. So I applaud him for that, and I know he worked very hard on that along with the new ownership, and I applaud them for staying strong. And I had told him several times that this mayor's not going to go easy. This mayor's going to be tough on you, and he's going to demand some things. So, Mayor, you're doing a great job. And there's a lot of people throwing their hat in the ring. The big shakeup in the news, and I've heard it for a while, is Dyer. And the Fresno Bee reports that Dyer had to take care of some things, and he moving into the district, moving into the area to be able to run for mayor in the 2020 race. Dyer, 60 years old, is retiring from the Fresno Police Department. Everybody's heard about that, and they're looking for Dyer's replacement. If I haven't heard if they found his replacement yet, but they're doing a national search to find that. That's some big shoes to fill. Talk about a chief that is very upfront and very political and very aggressive in what he does. But Chief Dyer has thrown his hat into the ring. So Dyer is out there or getting ready to, and that's going to be something on the horizon we're going to hear a lot more about. It wasn't long after, and I don't know if it happened before or after, I haven't been able to go through the story, but Luis Chavez, he's a city council member, Luis Chavez, and he's 40. And I will point that out. I saw 40. He was in a 40 under 40 event not too long ago. He was in the Business Streets 40 under 40. Luis, how are you doing? He's thrown his hat in the race too. So it's a big job. It's a big job. And I know there's probably many others, and I apologize if I haven't mentioned you, but I have a feeling it's going to be sort of like when Ashley Swearingen became mayor. Everybody and their dog ran for mayor that year. And it's going to be another one of those. But it'll be an interesting race to watch. That's right. David's over there pointing at himself. I'm going to run too, David. Well, good luck with that, David. It's going to take a lot of work because this one's going to be an interesting race. And there's a lot of change and shifting going on. So it's always interesting to see who could potentially be leading our city of Fresno and our great city of Fresno. I grew up in Hanford. I grew up in the South Valley. I have my mom on the line. She's going to be joining us here shortly. And before I go to the break, I'm going to bring Mom on, and then we'll come back and we're going to talk to Mom. But Mom, I grew up in Hanford, and I got my mom on the show, Vicki Cardoza. You've heard me talk about her from time to time. Mom, thank you for being on Business Leaders Live. How are you doing?
Doing real good, baby.
Doing good. Mom likes to tell me, and we talk about it, we joke about it, that hey, that coat's not working, or the hair is just, you got to get that hair cut. So
yeah. Did
you get that from your mom, my grandma?
Oh yes, yes.
Hilda Pierce.
You're presenting yourself in public. You need to look halfway decent.
See, there you go. There you go. Mom could be hard on you. But I grew up in a household that had mom and dad, and we were talking about KYJO. It's a lot of times you need to have somebody tell you when you're not doing something right, or, hey, kid, pay attention. Or like Dad, when he was a deep pit turkey moment, when he told me, you happy with what you're doing? Then don't do it. Do something else. We're going to take a short break, Mom, but I want you to stay on the line because I want to talk about some exciting news and your future here and what's happening with you. It's all happening so fast. And again, we were talking about the mayor's race, and it's going to be interesting as we see it unfold here in the city of Fresno. Vicky Cardoza, my mom, Lance Cardoza's mom, is on the call. Business Leaders Live. I'm excited about it. We'll be right back with more Business Leaders Live. Don't go away. All right. Oh, that's right.
Well,
He's the big one.
I miss your life.
He was rude. He was rude. No, he's interesting, and I think he made big noise. He made big noise, but yeah, I watched him at an event where he was, which you can apologize, Andrew, and he was completely rude to some people that were his supporters, and they ended up going the other way. So it's sometimes they cut off their nose, spite their face. You never know. That's an exclusive right there, Facebook Live. But all in all, I heard he's a nice guy. I did get to experience that and see that. Yeah, it happens. But I will. Yeah, we need to mention that too, because I was thinking there was one more, and I was trying to think of where is he in here, and I couldn't see him.
I had just mentioned yesterday. I got a robocall about a month ago. Basically answering the question about favorability, my favorite brand, James.
Oh, you didn't even know Dyer was in the running. I know.
So it had to be somebody nice.
2000 and what?
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
I think they've been talking
And you
about
don't
it
get
for a
anything for
while.
winning?
It's not official, but they've been talking about it for a while.
And then as far as
And
Yeah.
yeah.
that he might be consulting Dyer, but at the end,
Yeah. As far as that's gone. Okay. Cool. And we have the last one, 7 minutes 50.
yeah.
Okay. Okay.
You have a lot of cards when you get done with there.
And Andrew ran for
He ran for Nunes.
Nunes for
the House seat.
the House seat. What was it? Yeah, that's what I was trying to think.
He lost, but no.
Oh, I see it here. Yeah.
Got it?
Doesn't say what seat it was. We're good.
22nd.
Cool.
California's 22nd. Never come back right.
Oh, okay. 45 seconds back live. Yeah, I wanted to see if we had. Do we have any comments that we need to answer to?
I
Or?
haven't seen
740.
there's people watching.
Yeah.
By the way, Mom quit. Can you hear me, Lance? Lance Anthony. The dog looked. If you can stay. When I him to stay again.
You are listening to Business Leaders with Lance Cardoza, the behind-the-scenes story of the business shakers and movers in the Valley and beyond. Once again, here's Lance Cardoza.
Congratulations.
Welcome back, everybody, to Business Leaders Live. Before the break, we were talking about the Fresno Mayor's race, and one of the couple things I wanted to announce too that the candidacy of Chief Dyer, he hasn't announced it yet, so it's being talked about. There's some hurdles that have to overcome, but he's still looking at it, I'm sure. But I'm sure we're going to be hearing about it here in the near future. Also, Andrew Jans, which ran against Devin Nunes and lost to Nunes, his hat is in the ring, and he's made it his announcement. So Andrew Jans gunning for also the mayor's race, as Lee Brand, our current mayor, has not said that he's going to run for a second term. So it's going to be an interesting race. You got to stay tuned. I'm sure we'll have some of them on the show as we lead up to the 2020 race for the mayor of Fresno. On the line, before we went to the break, I have my mom. Hello, Mom, you're live on the air. See, this is what you get when you bring your mom on the air. She just has a conversation with somebody else. It was probably a dog. It was probably her dog Troubles that she was talking to. Mom, how are you doing?
I'm doing real good.
You're doing good. You're live on the radio, Mom. So we were talking about 28 years. I didn't get to mention this, but we're talking about your next venture in your future here. But Mom retired, sold her property, and she decided to get a big fifth wheel and a nice diesel pickup and take her dog and just travel the country. So you're pretty excited about that, huh, Mom? It happened, last week?
Oh, yeah.
Last week. How far did you get? You're going to travel the country. How far did you get, Mom?
I'm just up at Three Rivers.
So
I have to stick around. Your sister is getting ready to give birth, and I have to stick around in the area.
My oldest daughter's getting
ready
too.
Your daughter is like a week later. So I have little squishies coming.
Little squishies coming. So, yes, you're staying in the area. But I remember I was so excited. I thought, Mom, where are you going to go? Where's the first place you're going to go? I know you got a plan. You're traveling the country. Your brother is out there, Kurt, my uncle, with his wife, Bobby, and they're traveling, and you're going to travel with them for a little bit. And I thought, where's the first exciting place you're going to go? And she says, Three Rivers. And I thought, Three Rivers? We'd go there as a kid on the weekend all the time. So, yes, she's going to Three Rivers. You're enjoying it up there. It's beautiful right now.
Oh, yes, very beautiful. Even with the overcast, it's beautiful.
And the river is probably running really strong with all the rain we're having and everything going through there.
Yes, it's up pretty high. And then I'm where all the rafters get in the water or get out of the water. So it's interesting to see. It's the guys that are gearing up for Memorial Day weekend in case there's a problem and they need help, and
they're getting ready for safety, getting practicing and stuff. Interesting. Mom, 28 years you worked for the military in the Navy, and not in the Navy, but as a civilian employee, right?
Yes.
So in 28 years, I'm sure you have many stories, but you left a lot of good friends and a lot of people that you can call family. I know they were very close to you, and when we lost Dad at 52, and they were there for you, and I think you spent a good part of your life out there dedicated to it, and they rewarded you, and you're going to be able to enjoy life and travel the country. And did you enjoy that 28 years with the military?
It went by really fast. The one thing that I remember the most is you watch these guys grow. You meet them, they're first in the military, they're stuck somewhere where they don't know where anything is at, and you get to meet them and you watch them change from young men or young women and become grown-ups. And it's interesting to watch. And then you get attached to some, and they go off to Timbuktu.
And then there's some you probably want to forget about.
Sometimes they call you. Sometimes they keep track of you. Sometimes they end up being adopted children.
And some
along
of them,
the way.
Yeah, Mom, some of them you probably want to forget about.
Oh, well, there's a few of them.
There's a few of them. But it's great. You're talking about the soldiers that come into the base, and they're the sailors, and they come in and they're learning their way, and you get to connect with them. Right. Very cool.
The people I worked with were all great. They were very friendly. A lot of them were ex-military. A lot of them were married to ex-military. and everybody got along with everybody. Everybody is very friendly. They're used to making new friends.
Making new friends
Yeah.
and getting uprooted and placed somewhere else.
Right.
We're running out of time here, but thank you, Mom, for calling in on the show. I wanted to announce your retirement and the hard work you put in and the hard work of taking care of us as kids. And my sister, Taja, Tuli, Melissa, and myself, we love you and appreciate you.
Well, thank you, baby.
Thank you for calling in. Next week, Tuesday morning at 9 a.m., tune in for Business Leaders Live. I'm Lance Cardoza. We'll talk to you next week. Thank you so much for joining us. Bye, Facebook Live.